This is Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia, where we answer your questions about what it's like to live, work, and travel in Russia. Hey everyone, in this video we'll talk about one of the biggest mistakes that Russian language learners make.
All right, so the biggest mistake that we've noticed is that people don't speak from the very beginning. So what we've done is we've actually created a language exchange that you can find in the description box below that we host every Thursday at 8 p.m. Moscow time. It's available to everyone, completely free. Join us if you want to practice speaking your Russian. Marcus, what did you do in the beginning to start really trying to speak? Because like you said, the biggest mistake is just not speaking from the get-go. What was your strategy?
Okay, so my very first experience in Russia, actually before I went to Russia. So yeah, let's break it down to people who aren't in Russia and maybe are already in Russia
Right.
or going to Russia. So when I wasn't in Russia, I sought out Russian speakers because I didn't know the alphabet at first, and
common misconception. The alphabet is way easier. So anyone watching, if you don't know the alphabet, just find an article online. 2 hours, you'll know it.
Right. So I didn't know the alphabet, and I wanted to make sure that I was able to say the sounds correctly, and I wanted to hear the sounds. So I was the type of person that I wanted to speak correctly from the beginning, so people would understand me. So I would, in my college math class, I knew a Russian girl, and I would ask her how to say this, and that was really the only preparation I had before I went to Russia. But when I was in Russia, I'm a shy person generally, so it was kind of hard for me to start speaking to new people. But when I was in Russia, I was like, nobody knows me. If I make a fool of myself, it won't go anywhere
You just
really.
disappear.
So yeah, so I would try to talk to people. I really enjoyed my Russian classes, so I'd hang around and talk to teachers, and I'd always ask, like, how do you say this? And I remember that I would say something incorrectly, and they would correct me, but I was paying attention to what they were telling me, and I was really aware of what I was trying to say and what they said that I was saying wrong, and then I tried it again and again. But it was real situations. It was like at class, after class. It was I was trying to use some kind of phrase that I read, and then I would say incorrectly, and they're like, actually don't say that in this context. It's not good. But they were, I would say, seek out those opportunities and then use actual things that you would say.
Right. Now, why do you think people get bogged down with being able to speak? I understand
Shy.
in a classroom setting. I remember I took a couple weeks of a Russian class at my university, and it was above my level at the time, and it was very hard to speak. But as soon as I got to Russia, I didn't find that it was that hard to speak at all. I think it helps, obviously, in Russia that very few people speak English, at least in sort of everyday life.
Right.
And so even if you just speak a few words, everybody's quite endearing and helpful. But I never really understood what the reluctance to speaking was. For some people, maybe actually what might help would be finding a language partner online and just starting by typing to them and then getting on a video chat. A lot of people just don't know of all the opportunities to actually practice speaking. I actually like to think of learning a language as you have your active skills and your passive skills, right? And the passive skills are very easy to build up because you don't need anyone to help you with them. You don't need a second person. But the active skills, you actually, if you want to know the language, you have to be just as good at those, which is speaking and writing.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the main things that helped me was simply repeating, repeating after people, or repeating after what I heard in what I was reading or listening to. But reading out loud is one of the single most things that helped me, because it would help me formulate the sounds, and I would try and go to reproduce those sounds, and somebody would say, you don't say it like that.
Right.
As opposed to thinking I was saying it correctly and making a habit out of an incorrect, pronunciation or word or phrase.
Sure, sure. Well, okay, so what is the biggest piece of advice you would give someone? Say they're just starting to learn Russian. What would you tell them? How should they start speaking right away? Like, what is the best sort of way to do that? And maybe you can divide it, like you said, into, if that person is in the United States or Europe, wherever, Russian speakers are not around, which is a myth. There are Russians everywhere, but they don't have Russian speakers everywhere. And then those who do have Russian speakers, maybe they already are living in Russia or Ukraine or Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, I would say, listen, and then try to speak. Really, through obviously you need some kind of foundation, so you'll need to listen a lot more in the very beginning to learn some words, maybe common phrases. Maybe you don't necessarily have to focus on grammar in the very beginning because you need a foundation of words, but you also don't, in my opinion, I know this kind of, we have a different experience, but this is, I would say you don't want to make a habit out of saying something, incorrectly. So
Right.
Listen a lot, watch something, on YouTube or movies with subtitles. Watch things that you already know. So if you have, a list of favorite movies, you already know the stories, then you can focus on the Russian sounds coming from the,
Right.
So, what else? And then, the hardest thing actually is finding somebody to talk to, in my opinion. But it's easier nowadays than ever before.
I remember when I was just learning, it was almost impossible to find someone even just to write back and forth with in Russian. But it's definitely possible. There are a number of sites out there. Hello Talk, Tandem are 2 language exchange websites where you can register for free and search for people based on their native language. And we highly recommend doing that as soon as possible. And if you live in any major city, you can probably find a little Russian market or grocery store where you can go. Everyone in there will be Russian. You can speak some Russian with them. Or if you're religious, the Orthodox Church is also probably a good place to try going to learn some, or to get some speaking practice rather.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I would say
most important, get out there and try speaking. And again, we're hosting a language exchange every Thursday, 8 p.m. Moscow time. Join us, and we hope you find some value in it, some people to practice speaking with, and we'll see you there.
See you there.
See you in the next episode. This was Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have a question about Russia, let us know in the comments. We'll answer it in the video.